Bam. Vomiting Rainbows, episode 31. It's like 30 was just here last week.
It's crazy.
It's crazy.
Time flies.
It flies. I don't want to spoil it, so we're going to talk about The Walking Dead next week.
I don't mind the spoiler. This is the thing. What is it? Is it the 57th season of The Walking Dead?
Yeah.
I mean, I kind of get what's going to happen.
Right.
You know, Negan is going to most likely get killed or tortured, or you think he's going to, and then all of a sudden his bat has super spiritual powers that it starts swinging by itself.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I mean, I think at this point it's okay to talk about the finale of The Walking Dead, even though I haven't seen it, because I'll watch it anyway. You know, but
I'm not going to be the one to ruin it for you.
Really? Is it that good? Is there that big of a twist?
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah.
Okay.
I mean, it was one where I was watching it with a friend who didn't see it.
Yeah.
Or doesn't watch The Walking Dead, and they were like, I don't get what's going on, and I'm like, this is fucking crazy.
Okay.
So, I think you should close your ears. La, 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 la.
Okay.
Yeah,
but there's got to be a gigantic melee in it. Like, it's got to be like.
I'm not gonna say.
Okay. All right.
I mean, it is The Walking Dead, and they tend to kill a lot of things.
Yeah.
All the time.
Yes.
So anyway, this is episode 31 of Vomiting Rainbows, a darker news podcast, and sometimes we talk about things that Mike hasn't watched.
Yes, exactly. It's fascinating. Everyone loves to listen to a guy not knowing what's going on. Like,
right.
I haven't watched that.
Right.
I actually did that for a living. I would sit there on a radio show for many, many years, and people would talk about TV shows that I never watched.
Right.
It's like, never, whatever.
Whatever.
Yeah.
You like read a summary online beforehand?
Well, no, I did. That's exactly what I did. But there's a good reason why I don't watch a ton of TV. I might, 2, 3, 4 shows maybe. I like movies. But I did a lot of volunteering with the elderly when I was younger.
Right.
And whether you realize it or not, probably by the time, if you're lucky enough to live to like 75, 80, chances are you're gonna sit on your ass on a couch watching TV. So I've never seen Friends.
Oh wow.
I've never seen Seinfeld.
What?
I've never watched a full episode of either of those.
Wow.
I just figured, and everyone's like, oh, they're so great, I can't believe it. And you know what? I watch them when I get old, and I can't do anything else.
Yeah, you probably have like 3 years of sitting and watching, because there's a lot of episodes of both of those.
Yeah, they say they're both really funny shows, so that's something to look forward to.
Yeah, but by then you'll just like, there'll be like hologram television and shit like that. You'll be like, why would I watch this? This is stupid.
But what's always so funny is
it'll be like remember when they took black and white and colorified them?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, it'll be like that. It'll be like a really bad hologram.
I do know Seinfeld has to have been a genius show, because anytime like if I'm in a group of like 5 people and something really funny happened to me and I'll start telling a story about it, they'll be like, "Oh, it's like that episode of Seinfeld."
Right.
And I'm like, I don't know. No, this is actually like an episode of my life.
Right.
But apparently, they used a lot of real life situations in the show.
Yeah.
That created quite the laughter. So
yeah.
So anyway, enough about me not watching TV.
Well, yeah, I mean, that's all.
At least I have a reason.
Right. Well, that's the whole premise of like all these shows, like most of the shows out there. They're just like kind of, that's what people can relate to, the kind of that boring, like day-to-day stuff. But when it gets like crazy weird. Yeah. And that's Curb Your Enthusiasm, like that kind of.
Yeah. It's like this podcast. It gets crazy weird.
It gets
quickly.
It does get crazy weird. Speaking of that crazy weird, you know nothing about the stories that I'm going to tell you about. That's kind of the premise of our podcast. And then it's just like what you're talking about. You just don't know what's going on, and then you just kind of fall into it.
What a great premise for a show.
Oh,
we talk to a guy that has no idea what's going on.
It's perfect. It's just like real life.
Yes, exactly.
So the first thing we're going to talk about is Texas, because we're going to talk about Argentina.
Argentina?
Yeah. There was Paula Romano, 34, was playing an S&M game with her boyfriend Julio. He's 62, in July of 2014.
So she's 32, he's 64.
Right.
And they're playing an S&M game.
Yeah.
Okay.
He was tied up. He had a rope around his neck. And while he was unable to move, she decided to stab him 24 times. Not good.
That's not part of the game, is it?
No.
Okay.
If it was a game, he lost.
Yeah.
And he was found dead by his son, and he was horrified because it was in his own house. So
you gotta be careful with that stuff, man. I remember, you know, handcuffs and stuff like that. Like, it's kind of fun, but it's like at the same time, there's another level of trust that goes into that type of play, if you will.
Right. I can totally, like, did you have an experience where you were?
I was never stabbed, no, but I'm just saying, like, with handcuffs and stuff like that, like, you know, there is definitely something that makes you a little nervous.
A little vulnerable.
Yeah, a little more vulnerable, if you will.
Right.
But yeah, man, that's, you know, that sucks. What a way to go out.
Yeah, not good. And with somebody that you think loves you.
Yeah, well, yeah.
Yeah. So the couple had started their relationship around 2003. So this is like a pretty long relationship. She was a waitress at his bar. She told the court that she denied taking part in any of the sex at all, or the sex games that were going on, but she was in the house.
So maybe she's saying that he had more than one girlfriend, or he just liked to tie himself up, and
yeah.
I mean, most of that S&M stuff. I mean, I've seen those knots. Those are hard to tie by. They're very difficult to tie by yourself.
Yeah, and then if there was somebody else in the house, how come she doesn't know who that person was?
Yeah, well, who knows? I mean, maybe the relationship was like, you know, like he's 64, she's young. He's just like, hey, you know, like I want to do what I want to do. Maybe they like an open relationship.
Right.
So
nope. It could have been an open relationship, but she would still probably know who the person was, especially if she's in the house.
Yeah, and all that tying and stuff like that takes up a lot of time. You need supplies.
Yeah.
You know what I'm talking about? Like that. Like that's not just like, hey, come in through the back door and you'll be done in, you know, 3 or 4 minutes, and then go about your day. That's like, you're gonna tie me up, you're gonna spank me, you're gonna tickle me with a tickle feather. Like that takes equipment. That takes planning. You know what I mean? You got to have a place to store that stuff in your closet. You know, it's like it's a lot of accessories.
She told the court that she loved Julio and just doesn't understand what happened at all. You know.
But I mean, this seems like it'd be a pretty simple case to solve if she's guilty, right? I mean, there's knife wounds. There's got to be a weapon. You know, I'm sure they can do all kinds of. I've seen CSI, like a half an episode, enough to know that they can figure this kind of stuff out. Puncture wounds and stuff. I saw Dexter.
The really weird thing is that she fled to Buenos Aires immediately after the attack and deposited $20,000 in her account.
Well, this is the thing. That is suspect behavior, but at the same time, you know, I've never come across a dead body, and maybe she's like, people are gonna think this is me. I need to get out of here. I'm gonna take this cash and make a run for it. You know, I mean, it makes you look guilty, but you know, it's possible that people freak out, they panic, they do stupid things.
Right.
You know, it's definitely a little suspicious.
Yeah. Well, and $20,000 was missing from his house. So.
Yeah, she took the money and freaked out.
Yeah, so there is the possibility that she freaked out and took the money, but
this is the thing, though.
More likely is that she wanted the money and fucking killed him.
For $20,000, I mean that's kind of short-sighted, right? I mean it is 2017. I don't know the economics of Argentina, but is that enough money to like be set for life in Argentina? I mean it might be.
No,
I don't know.
I don't think so.
Yeah, so I mean like my point is like it seems
actually it was 20,000 ARS, which is about $2,000.
So if this guy has a bar, it's $2,000.
Yeah, it's not.
This guy has a bar, employs her as a waitress. It seems like the long-term goal for security would be to keep this guy around. So number one, you have a job. And number two, you're not facing a murder rap. But clearly, you know, when people commit crimes like this, they're not thinking logically like we are.
Well, let's go to the doctors, because what the doctors said is that she was addicted to sex and had been diagnosed with sex-related behavior disorder. Her doctors also said that she experienced extreme rage attacks and had the uncontrollable impulse to be unfaithful and sometimes experience disgust and rejection when having sex.
How do people that are addicted to sex like that, how do they get treatment for that? Like they just wean off sex, or like what? Do you have any idea? Are you
No, I have no idea.
That's pretty intense, right? You go to a doctor for that, like you're a sex addict. You're you're a sex crazed maniac woman.
Right.
You know, and then that's it. They just tell her that. You know what I mean? Like, but they like make her wear a chastity belt. Like,
no,
how do they?
Sure there's like
psychological things, drugs.
Yeah, I'm sure it's just like a drug addiction.
Yeah.
So it's beyond enjoying sex. It's like compulsive. Like
yeah.
any type of sex.
Yeah. No, I mean, it's, I think that's, I think for most dudes anyway, they're like, that's like the perfect woman, right?
Right.
This guy was probably stoked.
Right.
You know?
Except for the rage and disgust and rejection after having sex.
Yeah. I mean, guys will deal with a lot of stuff, though. You know what I mean? Like if you hang around enough dudes and they're ladies, like, guys will put up with a lot. Like, I shouldn't just say guys, but, and women will put up with a lot.
Yeah.
To be in a relationship, and a lot of times, like, I've been with people where, like, you're looking at the girl going, like, why are you with this dude?
Right.
Or vice versa, where you'll be looking at the guy and going, is it really worth it? Like, this
right.
is, you know what I'm talking? It goes both ways.
Yeah.
But my point is, people put up with a lot.
Right. Crazy town happens.
Yeah.
And you gotta, sometimes people are willing to kind of glance over that, but then.
Yeah, I mean, if a chick messes with your car, it's over, right? Is that still like a guy rule that people abide by?
Yeah.
Like.
Well, that or cut up your clothes and shit like that.
Yeah,
boil your bunny, things like that.
Yeah, it's just leading to getting stabbed, right?
Yeah, it's not going to be a good scenario.
Yeah. Who do you think's? I know this is a tough question to answer, but do you think there are crazier girls or crazier dudes? I would say in general, crazier dudes. But when you find a crazy chick, it's almost they might be crazier than the craziest dude. But there's more crazy dudes.
I feel like they're more crazy dudes, but a crazy dude tends to be violent, and a crazy chick seems to not usually use violence as much.
Yeah, it's weird because when I think about the crazy dude in a relationship or the crazy chick in a relationship, I'd much rather like face off in a toe-to-toe fight with the crazy dude. Like the crazy chick, like you just never know where they're gonna come from. You know what I mean? Like you just don't know where they're gonna. It's like are they gonna attack you psychologically? Are they gonna attack? Like you know what I mean? A dude's probably just gonna run at you with a weapon or something.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But girls are way smarter and way more calculating and way more just intuitive. I think. You know what I mean? So if they want to mess with you, like they're just they're gonna come at you in like multiple angles.
Well, remember we did a story on a woman who broke up with this guy, and she found out that her former boyfriend was now seeing another girl who was pregnant.
Yeah.
And she posted on Craigslist that girl was waiting at her house and wanted a rape fantasy, so just come on in or break into the door.
That was crazy.
It was like
that's like next level, right?
Yeah,
there's a lot of thought put into that.
There's a lot of thought and a lot of demented thought.
Yeah, like
she
men,
didn't.
Yeah, exactly.
It wasn't like she wanted her dead. She wanted her like humiliated.
Yeah, crazy.
It's not good.
So what's the bottom line on the story, Doug?
So the end of this story is the 34-year-old got sentenced to life in prison, and
so she's guilty. This isn't even quite. Okay.
No, she's guilty.
I was trying to give her like the benefit of the doubt.
No, they basically said that no matter after a 15-month investigation, which largely had to do with social media, it pointed directly at her.
Yeah. Here's a tip. If you're going to commit crimes at any point in your life, don't be on social media.
Yeah.
Don't even have an email address, really.
No.
Your digital footprint will do you in.
Yeah, and remember our previous story with the two girls who were caught with cocaine and basically went to every drug country and posted selfies there?
Yeah.
That, not
a good idea.
Not a good idea.
It's like leaving breadcrumbs for the cops.
Exactly. You don't want to do that, especially with $20 million of cocaine in your luggage. Not a good idea. So the next story, which I had confused earlier, was the Texas story.
Yes.
And
Texas, baby.
Texas. Have you gone to Texas?
I spent a lot of time in Texas.
I was going to say.
Yeah, I like Texas.
Have you gone to South by?
No, I've never been to Austin. I've
What?
been to I've been to Houston. I've been to Amarillo. I've been to San Antonio. I've been to Corpus Christi. I've been to Dallas.
Did you see the Alamo?
I did see the Alamo. It was awesome. Have you ever been there?
No.
It's awesome. Yeah, if you ever go to San Antonio, definitely go see the Alamo. They have a thing there called the River Walk, which is super cool. I wish the Raiders would have moved to San Antonio, to be honest with you. But yeah, it's cool, man. And then down in Corpus Christi is kind of it's a weird little place, like abandoned.
Right.
Like an abandoned coastal city. Like
really?
Yeah, it's like there's nothing open there. I don't know what happened. I don't know if the water got poisoned or just like the oil industry there, like dried up. But you know, it's like kind of like this like beach community with all these like killer houses right on the Gulf, and it's like there's no. Like, you go downtown, there's like one store open and a bar, like one bar.
Whoa.
All the restaurants are closed. It's like it's just weird. It's a very odd. I don't. And it's funny because I ask all these people, and I'm like, what happened to Corpus Christi? And no one has an answer. It's like a city that's just kind of collapsed.
Was it? Is this something really recent, or like is it probably? Did it have something to do with the oil spill?
Maybe the hurricane or the oil spill. I don't. I may perhaps. I mean, I swam in the Gulf. This is probably about 2-3 years ago.
You twitch a little, but it's
not
fine.
really. No, I mean it was. I thought it was cool, but it's always interesting when you travel the United States and you go into these different cities and towns and all the infrastructure is there, but there's just no population. It's like they're a ghost town, and you, living in the Bay Area, you're always like, wow, like. If this was, you know, a half hour from San Francisco, it would be so jumping. But it's just, for whatever reason, you know, it's not.
Have you?
Kind of like Vallejo. If you've ever been downtown Vallejo, it's like, why? Where's everybody?
Well, have you ever been to the Salton Sea?
No.
Yeah, that's another place. It was a huge resort town during the 1950s, like the Vegas of California, and I guess, they caused this natural disaster with fresh water.
Huh.
And then like all the fish just started.
Is it?
Yeah, they just started dying on the shores. It smelled like dead fish everywhere. There were flies everywhere, and everything shut down.
Yeah.
So it's just like all these huge hotels.
It's like what happened to San Francisco, like when this .com bust. Like remember when the '90s one kind of busted, and all of a sudden the city was empty, and like people weren't moving here anymore. And for about 2 or 3 years, it was like, oh, we got the city back. Awesome.
There was like 18 acres of office space available.
Yeah,
seriously. It was crazy.
It was.
Yeah.
So it all goes in cycles.
So anyway, in Texas, this is McKinney, Texas, which is outside of Dallas. This doctor, Dr. Uzuma, he's a sports doctor. He was treating a woman who needed a shot in her hip for a physical disability. Mm-hmm. So they're not sure what the disability. Doesn't say the woman's name. To get this, with her husband in the room, he decided he shot her in the hip, and then apparently her pants were down just a bit, and he stuck his fingers in her vagina.
With the husband in the room?
With the husband in the room.
Was there a medical reason to do that? I mean, is that...
So, he said he was doing that to move the fluid around from the shot. The shot's in her hip.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not a doctor. That sounds skeptical. I mean, if I was in a room and a dude did that, that would be. I don't know.
Her husband.
Crazy.
Her husband didn't see this going on. He was behind her, and he asked the doctor. Then, after giving her the injection and assaulting her, then told her to download an app on her phone so he could check her progress with her. Injection to make sure everything was going okay.
Are you sure this was a real doctor? I mean, you hear the stories about
he's actually a board certified doctor, real legit.
But you know what I mean? Like you hear people like kind of like faking like they're in the medical community, things like this. But this guy's a real doctor. Okay.
Real doctor, real practice, and actually could perform surgery at the local hospital. So he was like a surgeon. He told her, he started texting her about what her favorite part of the visit was.
Oh my God, what a creep, dude.
Yeah.
That's so creepy.
Very creepy. She said that...
this is the thing I don't understand is so he does this to this woman. How does this guy even get out of the room with the husband? Doesn't she like go like, dude, stop grabbing my junk? And like, and then the husband goes, what? And like,
I'm sure she was just shocked.
Yeah. I guess that would be an explanation. But I mean, if someone does that to you, I mean, don't you say something like, dude, what are you doing? Why are you doing that? Like, maybe he's a gynecologist. Maybe there's a reason for that. Maybe he could explain like, I need to whatever. But obviously, if he's following up with dirty texts, I mean, this guy's crossed all professional and human decency lines right here.
Well, the other thing is she responded with when he asked about her favorite part of the visit. She said, "Not receiving a script, like a prescription."
Yeah,
that sounded weird.
Huh?
That's a weird response to that to me. It sounded a little junky.
Yeah.
But anyway, regardless of that.
Well, maybe they didn't have like being assaulted by the doctor as an option, like you know. What
right
I mean?
on the pull down.
Yeah.
On the, she deleted her app, and he apparently continued to text her because they saw those accruing. The police did, and telling her to book a return visit. After seeing Azuma, she got a second opinion from another doctor, and the doctor said, under no circumstance should anyone be required to do anything other than the shot location, and absolutely never to penetrate the vagina.
Yeah,
and that's according to the police arrest warrant.
And think about how many times this doctor's done that to people, right?
Oh, exactly.
Creepy.
So she, of course, filed charges. Another woman heard about her filing charges and immediately came forward.
You know, there could be women listening to this right now going,
what the?
Wait a second. Like, that happened to me, too.
Mm-hmm.
They're not supposed to do that?
Yeah.
You know? Yeah, file charges.
Yeah.
Creeps.
And, well, this other woman said that she was getting a shot from Dr. Creepo. And she said her first 2 meetings, she found him extremely rude. He was just apparently terrible. She almost didn't go for her 3rd appointment, but on her 3rd appointment, he apparently was very, very charming.
Hmm.
So you know what this means. Bow, chicka, bow,
yeah,
bow.
I mean, usually if someone's like a dick twice, like you really give them that 3rd chance. I mean,
No.
this is the thing. It's okay if you're a doctor and you're a jerk to people, okay? But you also, as a patient, if you go in and hang out with a doctor and they're a jerk to you, like there's other doctors. Like you have a choice in your healthcare. Like you don't need to sit there. Like if you're a normal doctor you don't like or you don't feel comfortable with, go find another doctor.
Yeah.
There's doctors all over the place, especially if the doctor's assaulting you.
Right.
And report the guy and get another doctor.
Absolutely. You know when you're given that little gown, the little gown that you're supposed to wear? So she was given that gown.
Does it open at the front or back, Doug?
These were little like paper shorts, she said, and a paper gown. Probably in the back.
Okay.
He apparently rubbed her legs while she was getting undressed. Told her to get undressed and was like rubbing her leg.
Yeah.
He left the room, but before leaving the room, she felt something poking her in the genitals and said it was him. She initially thought it was a sonogram machine, but it was him.
Yeah.
That's creepy.
Yeah, this is all creepy.
At that point...
so she went back to this doctor?
No.
Or this is another woman, sorry.
That is another woman.
Okay.
So then the police said he left the room, and when he returned, she asked her to roll on her side and lift her leg, and when she did that, he started rubbing her groin.
Yeah.
Yeah, at that point, she got very uncomfortable, sat up. He left the room, at which point she dressed. The nurse tried to stop her for another appointment, and she said no, and she fled.
Yeah, that's what you do.
And
so what's up with this doctor? What's
they're still looking into it. It's under investigation. So this was
Dr. Gropey, man.
Yeah, Dr.
Cool.
Yeah, Dr. Gropey Creepy.
Yeah.
Like it's very like.
Where is this? This is in Texas?
Yeah.
Huh.
So, don't go to a doctor in Texas and get a shot.
I'm sure there's good doctors in Texas, dude.
Well, definitely don't go to Azumba, Dr. Azumba.
Crazy.
Yeah, that guy's not good. Or McKinney, Texas, wherever that facility is that let this guy go on with it. It was called the Orthopedic Sports Medicine group in McKinney.
I've been to like orthopedic. I've had like pain in my hip, and they give you a shot, but they never. Yeah, no diddling.
Didn't grope you?
No diddling.
No.
No diddling.
No, it should never happen. Just shouldn't happen. And then the next story that we're going to talk about is, neighbors and kind of like local ordinance and things of that nature.
Sure.
Have you ever had like a dispute with your neighbor?
I'm trying to think. Not as far as like a homeowners association goes or anything. I remember I had an old 65 El Camino, and one of my neighbors kept calling the tow people to report it. They kept reporting it as an abandoned vehicle, and it kept like, if this doesn't get moved, you know, it's going to get towed in 72 hours. Well, the problem was that it's San Francisco parking, right?
Right.
So I'd always park in the same place, but like I would have the car out all day,
Right.
park it in the same place. So it, like to the cop, it probably looked like it hadn't moved.
Right.
You know, so.
Well, don't they truck your tires so that they know if it moved or not?
I don't. They just put a big red sticker on it.
Oh,
you know?
oh.
And so I'd leave a note like, dude, this is not an abandoned car. You know. But then 3 weeks would go by, and then another red sticker would be on it. You know, and I think I just one day I just screamed out like for maybe like 20 minutes like, who put, get out here, like let's talk about this.
Right.
Don't be you know what I mean. And
Right.
no one came out of their houses. They were probably petrified of me.
Yeah.
But all I want to do is like, dude, like what, stop doing this.
Right.
This isn't an abandoned car. You know?
And did it stop after that?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, so whoever was home heard me and was like, Jesus.
Yeah, I better not.
Yeah, that guy's crazy.
If this happens again, bad things might happen.
Yeah, but nothing like with like an ordinance or like, I put like an American flag up and someone's like, you can't put that flag, nothing like
Right.
that. That's probably the biggest dispute I've ever gotten with a neighbor that I can recall or legally want to talk about.
Legally want to talk
Yeah. There may have been a few others.
I like that one.
Yeah.
Your back porch, the back porch issue.
I'm sure there's all kinds of stuff, yeah.
Yeah. So anyway, there was this guy in Salem, New Hampshire. He built his house in the early 1950s. His name was Charles Hill, and he had a wife, Alice. The police came over to his house because his neighbors said that they were having a dispute with him over stacking of wood on their property line. Not a big deal. The police went to go knock on his door, but the fire department was called because they said they smelled a strong odor of gas. And so they didn't want to go into the house. They also noticed a person inside that was downstairs leaning against the wall who was unresponsive. So they called the fire department. By the time the fire department got there, and 8 houses were evacuated, the roof of the house blew off, blowing the entire house of the roof like Goggle.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. I mean, massive explosion.
Yeah.
It broke several windows in neighboring houses everywhere. They also found like bombs through the yard, boards
with landmines and stuff?
Boards with nails in them.
Yeah.
The house was also booby-trapped, so they couldn't go in to see who the person was on the ground. Charles was kind of described by his neighbors as super friendly, nice and quiet.
Just like to booby-trap his house.
Yeah.
Yeah. Are they saying he did this all because of the dispute about the logs on the fence line?
No. So this was the article that I read from the Daily Mail. I went to the local paper and found out that just a couple of hours ago, like 2 hours ago, they did another report, and it turns out right before the dispute with the logs and the police were coming over, the city had just called him and told him that they were seizing his house because of tax evasion.
Oh, okay.
So this was
So it's kind of one of those things where he's like, you know what, I'm caught, I'm done, I'm just gonna blow up the house. You're not gonna take my property from me. That kind of. This is like his last stand.
This was his Alamo.
Yeah, he's like, that's it. Forget it.
Yeah. His house had been condemned by the state in July of 2015 because it was considered a health hazard. When the city came in to do a wellness check on him.
How old was this dude?
He was like in his late 70s. When they did a wellness check on him, they said there were multiple instances of raw sewage around the house.
Yeah,
urine and feces.
You get old and maybe you don't have an income and your plumbing breaks, you can't fix it.
Right.
That's not uncommon for people to have a lot of house issues that they can't afford to fix.
It sounded a little weirder than that. They also said that the neighbors had reported him walking around his property with guns.
Yeah.
That's, they said it was a little distressing, but they said that all of this had kind of precipitated when his wife passed away. So
There's no happy ending to the story, is there, Doug?
No, it even gets. After they were able to clear the house, they were able to find the body. The body had a self-inflicted gunshot wound to the head, and they think that he had set some sort of timer, hoping that the cops instigated this kind of action and threatened the neighbor, so that the police would come and that they would be blown up by the house.
Wow, man!
After he killed himself.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's pretty nutty, man. That's definitely nutty. I guess that's one thing to do when you're retired, but it's a sad story, man.
I think the thing that was really heartbreaking about the whole thing.
I think it's sad because I can relate to it. Like, I got guns. I can see myself trying to take a stand against the man one final time when I'm old and feeble and weak, and it seems like it takes a lot of effort, and it's kind of pointless to blow up your own house. But
yeah, the one thing that they did say is that no shots were fired. The shots that they heard were bullets being burned up in the fire.
Yeah.
But just imagine that you're a responder to this house.
Yeah, no, you just
and
let
they're
it burn
like
to the
bullets
ground.
whizzing by.
Forget that, man. Yeah,
you don't want to be in that.
Yeah, you clear the area. You let it burn out.
Yeah, they said it. They just let it burn to the ground.
Yeah, of course.
Yeah. So, yeah, that's our podcast for the night.
Man.
Super happy. Good stories.
Super cheery.
All rainbows all around. So, yeah, good stuff. Should contact us if you want to suggest stories or talk to us about ideas or even comment on some of our stories. Contact us at vomitingrainbows.com. We welcome any ideas. Also find us on We Vomit Rainbows on all social media, Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, and then you can also find us on iTunes, and please rate us. Good stuff.
Ready for a quick intro?
Yeah, let's do it.
Okay.
This is Vomiting Rainbows, episode 31. It's a happy one.
Oh, yeah.
Really happy. I think Mike's a little... I usually try and stun Mike, but I think this time it was pretty stunning.
Yeah, and usually you'll go for one or two heavies and then kind of end on a light note.
Right.
Not this episode.
No.
This episode goes from downer to downer to downer.
Yes.
It's like you're walking down flights of emotional stairs.
Yeah. Well, sometimes I have to keep it all dark. Most of the time, But anyway, listen and enjoy.